The seas have always been a place of darkness, endless depths that hold secrets beyond human imagination. How many have set out to claim the wide wilderness for themselves? How many less have returned, only to tell stories that no one would believe? Sailors snatched from the decks of wooden ships, men going overboard only to disappear and never be seen again. No one really knows the extent of what lurks below the surface. But there are countless stories out there, countless tales, countless nightmares, and countless horrors. Countless claims of having seen what no one would ever believe in. These are just a few of so many more harbingers of death, out where no one would hear a cry for help, where no one would even find the victim, sunken down into the crushing depths. 5. QALLUPILLUIT. The ice is transparent early in the morning, the ocean still against its edges. The darkness of the depths can be seen so clearly. Steam rises from the surface. The first signs of the sun, a warmth so minute and still enough to contrast the freezing cold. You're alone, far out, peaceful. You would think. Until the water begins to move, until waves lick the ice and the darkness deepens, until you hear the knocking, rhythmic, slow, coming from beneath your feet. The ice begins to crack. You don't know anymore whether it is the white, bloated knuckles in the water underneath, or the ice giving in to your weight. A strong smell of sulfur rises up, dizzies you. You don't hear them climbing out of the water behind you. You don't hear their dripping coats or the scraping of their scaly feet along the ice. You don't notice them until you're snatched back and dragged into the icy depths, where you can only hope to drown or freeze before they begin ripping you apart. QALLUPILLUIT are said to kidnap children that get too close to the edge of the water. Humanoid creatures wearing thick furs that they hide their victims in. Flat, noseless faces with pitch-black eyes, mouths full of needle-like teeth spanning almost from ear to ear. Their arms are long, their hands big and laced with long, sharp nails. Their skin is sometimes described to be green and slimy, sometimes scaly, white and rough. Sometimes, if you're lucky, they will announce themselves. Sometimes they will knock at the ice. Sometimes they will aggravate the water. Sometimes they'll watch and then attack in the cover of silence, snatch the child before it can scream and disappear just as quickly. No one really knows what they do to them, but none have ever been found again. 4. Black Demon. The ocean is always most dangerous when it goes still, when the waves cease to rise and the wind goes silent. The depths are always dark. Barely anything ever changes about them. But when it does, you shouldn't linger to find out what caused it. When dark blue turns black, something is below. The engine runs on, but how can you tell that you're really moving? The darkness moves, cycles, positions underneath its prey as if preparing to suck it down and swallow it whole. The ship creaks, wails, for it dreads what lurks below. A pitch-black tip that breaks the surface, the first movement in water for ages. A dorsal fin rises out of the water, grows and grows until it surpasses the size of a man. Praying is your only chance, praying that it loses interest instead of taking a bite of your ship that tears it into two. But it rarely does. And once you're in the water, the last thing you'll come to see is a moor of darkness, laced with rows of shiny, sharp teeth. The Black Demon is said to be found just off the coast of Mexico's Baja California Peninsula. A shark, double the size of a boat, similar to the megalodon, which sometimes it is believed to be. The fishermen that spot it and come out alive have described it as similar to a great white shark with a pitch black coloration. Whether it is just an unusual specimen of great white, a species not yet discovered, or something else entirely, something this big needs to eat. And maybe the sea doesn't quite hold enough to satisfy. 3. The Kraken. Lightning cracked through the sky. The storm has been rocking the ship for what felt like days already. The seas are rough and cold out here, but tonight the ship groans more than it did before. Every screw, every piece of hull, every seam aches in the water. Something lies heavy in the air, a stench that breaks even through the curtain of cleansing rain, and even with the sky darkened and the water a wild moving beast, you can tell that the water below is darker than the depths should be. Another strike of lightning snaps across the sky and illuminates the dark, buries through the surface of the water just for a moment. A moment enough to see a gigantic eye staring back up. The ship steadies when it shouldn't. The vessel vibrates under the horrid growl carried through the water. Something pops, a wet release. One, then more, till it almost drowns out the steady rushing of the rain. When slowly, tips of tentacles as thick as a body snake above the raining. The Kraken dwells in the cold seas off the coasts of Norway and Greenland. The Vikings have told of its horrors for ages, so much so that the stories are still well known today. Said to swallow ships whole or drag them into the depths by wrapping its enormous tentacles around the hull. Sometimes believed to bleed or breathe poison, always with an insatiable hunger. And once it has gotten hold of you, you might as well drop dead. In Icelandic myths, a monster that might be the Kraken, called Hafgufa, is said to be the largest monster and greatest horror that lives in the sea. Bigger than whales, so much so it eats them, as well as everything it can reach. Hafgufa is always submerged, but it is said if it strikes its head above the surface, it will only leave when the tide turns, and the number of victims it takes until then is too great to count. 2. Armikak. A shadow circling in the water, waiting for the best chance. Hands with a deadly grip reaching out through the surface as it propels itself over the boat. A bloated round head, a gaping mouth full of sharp, rotting teeth, bits of skin and flesh still stuck in between them. Before you see it coming, you're snatched from your boat. 4 hands gripping at everything they can reach, claws digging deep into your skin. The depths of the sea are crushing, but the first cracking of bone you hear is not caused by the pressure of the water. The scraping of teeth against bone is too prominent to ignore. A rumbling in the earth, just below, as the ground softens up and starts to swallow you. The fatigue takes over suddenly and refuses to let go, and you can only watch the teeth come closer and you're pushed to the back of your own mind to become the hull for the monster that has put its eyes on you. A lonely man dragging his sled along the ice, never straying from his path. A voice whispering sweet promises of all the things you've ever wanted. But as soon as you turn to take his offer, all you'll see is teeth and blood. The tales of the Armikak are mostly told in Inuit cultures. A monster of the sea one can't even escape from on land. The creature is said to be a shapeshifter, hairless with 4 arms with humanoid hands, with which it both walks and captures its prey. Leathery or slimy moist skin, huge, heavy, and hungry for human flesh. It snatches hunters from their boats and drags them to the depths to feast on them. The Armikak swims in earth just as well as it does on land, and will pursue their prey as far as they need to, turning the ground beneath their feet to quicksand by quickly swimming around them. In this case, sometimes they will swim into their victim and inhabit their body, draining them from the inside. More stories tell about the shape-shifting abilities of the monster, where it turns into a human form wandering the ice with a sled. Approaching the creature or speaking to it mean your certain death. Your only option is to sit and ignore it, while it offers you increasingly valuable gifts, until it finally moves on. Before I continue to the final creature, I just want to say thank you for choosing to watch this video, and I hope you're enjoying my narration. If you are, please show your appreciation by liking this video, leaving a comment, and if you don't already, subscribing to this channel. 1. SCYLLA and CHARYBDIS. The channel lays narrow ahead, the sea misleadingly calm, but you can feel the pull that makes the ship drift off. A mist hangs over the water, obscuring both ends of the strait. Every single crew member is working what they can, trying to keep away from the whirlpool that continuously sucks in gallons of water, only to spit it back out into the sea. The constant push and pull and fight against the depth tear at the ship, but staying close to the moor is the only way to escape her. The water pulls you in more, enough to see the whirlpool open up down below. An awful stench fills the air, teeth clack against each other as the massive throat convulses, and you come to realize that the rushing was never the sound of the water. Maybe you fight out of the pull. Maybe you're lucky to find the moment where CHARYBDIS' thirst is quenched. Maybe you make it to the other side of the strait only to hear the rock face crumble above. Fragments of stone that drop into the water as the mist thickens with every foot you come closer to the silhouette of an island. Another rock falls, hits the water, and begins to sink, scraping across the stone above. You try to stay quiet, but you can already hear the heavy breath over your heads. A horrible screech, and she strikes out of the mist, snatching a sailor from the deck. A scream faded so quickly you barely sure you heard it. And then another head comes down, and the last thing you come to see is jaws wide open and rows of razor-sharp teeth clamping down around your head. SCYLLA and CHARYBDIS are two sides of the same danger. Trying to avoid one always means risking your life to the other. SCYLLA, once a beautiful nymph, turned monster through the magic of the jealous witch Circe. Now, 12 tentacle-like legs latch onto the cave up in her island as she leans out to grab hold of her prey. 6 snaky necks sprout from her waist, each one with a head more horrid than the last, dog-like and equipped with rows of sharp shark teeth. Though none of the heads hold eyes, their sense and smell are unbeatable. Each head can strike like a snake. Each head can snatch a sailor from the deck he works on. The only option of escape is staying far from her. But on the other side lives CHARYBDIS, who used to be under the sea god Poseidon, submerging islands to gain more influence for her master, until Zeus, angry over the land she stole from him, chained her to the ocean floor and cursed her with an insatiable thirst for seawater. Little more than a bladder, fins for arms and legs, 3 times a day she opens her massive maw lined with teeth all the way down her throat and swallows in all the water she can fit, creating whirlpools big enough to pull ships to the bottom of the sea. Getting caught anywhere near either of them means almost certain death. In between them is more of a question which death you find less torturous. Stories like these date back thousands of years. Sightings still aren't too rare today, and with how little we've actually explored of what covers most of the plane we live on, who knows what really and how many more actually live down in the pitch-black depths. Thank you for watching and/or listening to this video. Again, if you enjoyed it, please go ahead and hit the like button. And if you don't already, go ahead and subscribe to my channel and select the notification bell so don't miss out on any of my future uploads. Also, please leave a comment on this video letting me know what you thought of it. Comments really help with the YouTube algorithm and will really help my channel to grow. If you have a story you would like me to narrate, please email it to me at stories@daredevil.com. I'm getting close to my next major milestone of 100,000 subscribers to this channel. Thank you to everyone who is continuing to subscribe to this channel and contributing to its growth by liking videos and leaving comments. Once I get to 100,000 subscribers, my plan is to reward you all with an epic video, with over 3 hours of original content. It will probably be about Wendigos, as you all seem to love these stories. If that is the sort of thing you want to hear, please keep helping this channel to grow. If you want to support my channel even further, there are a number of ways you can do so. You can buy me a coffee on my Ko-fi account, which I recently set up. It's still in the early stages of being set up, but I plan to release some exclusive content on there in the future. Check out my Teespring store and consider purchasing one of my shirt designs. I have a design with a Dogman, a Wendigo, Skinwalker and Bigfoot all on a zebra crossing. It's a must for anyone that likes these types of stories. You can also head over to Audible, where there is the book Punch by J.R. Park that I narrated. I get a small royalty if you decide to purchase it. Thanks again for watching.